I've scoured the internet trying to find the best Hearthstone Mercenaries PvP builds I could find, and I think I found some really good ones. Now, you've probably seen a couple of these, maybe you haven't seen all of them, and I hope that I can give you a build that you will like to play, as well as climb really high up. And if this is helpful for you and you want to see more Hearthstone Mercenaries, make sure you subscribe. Check me live on Twitch in the link down below. And as always, look fantastic.
I'm a doctor.
First build I'm showcasing today is a nature Sylvanas build. The main idea of this build is to start with Malfurion, Anduin, and Mukla, and then on the bench you have Samaro, Cookie, and Sylvanas. Malfurion and Anduin are both high priority targets hidden behind a King Mukla's big brother and potentially the turn 2 taunt, which you're basically guaranteed to get because it is nature, and Malfurion is almost guaranteed to use, he has to use Cenarian Surge on turn 1. The benefit of using both Malfurion and Anduin is that Malfurion heals with every nature ability casted, and Anduin likes healing with the Ring of Purity, and King Mukla's big brother is really good as an additional thing that dies for Sylvanas. Samaro in this case is using the Sash of Illusion to make sure he gets an extra copy of himself, which does work towards Sylvanas' reclaimed souls. Cookie is here with the appetizers in order to give everyone a higher health total, make the breakpoints a little bit harder. And of course, Sylvanas is with the Death Volley, and basically turn 1 you have to play Reclaim Souls, makes Sylvanas a very scary threat, and then you kill their casters, whatever units you are going against. This comp is fantastic. It will kind of lose to Shadow, but overall it is a really good comp to be playing in this metagame as it can just scale out of control, and your late game is extremely powerful. You should try it. Let's go to the next one. Speaking of Anduin, here is another fantastic build that I showcased on the channel a little bit earlier the day of the patch. Basically, you use Anduin, Cornelius, and Velen, and then on the bench you have Karen, Diablo, and Cookie. Anduin is still using the Ring of Purity to gain extra life, but with the addition of Cornelius, first and foremost being a taunt in front of the fighters, which not only is a taunt, but it lasts for 2 turns and heals both of your units, which means if any damage is done on Anduin and or Velen, you are getting more life from Ring of Purity. Velen is using the Tome of Inspiration, as I think the turn 1 heal is a little bit better than just the Death Rattle 40 health to your characters, but they're both great. You can use whatever one you want. And then Cornelius is obviously using the Shield of Dawn. So Cornelius is basically here to protect your Anduin and Velen as they scale. Turn 2, you're almost guaranteed to use Velen's Blessing into Holy Nova, so you get a large AoE heal and a lot of AoE damage. Then of course on the bench we have the classic Karen. Karen comes down with Reincarnation, also really good with Anduin, because sometimes you get that early penance, sometimes you get that AoE Holy Nova first with the speed up, but obviously we have the slowdown. And then we have Diablo using the Black Soulstone, and then Cookie again once with Appetizer. This is a really good comp as well. Could be really frustrating for a lot of comps to get through. Not super great against Samaro, but it's still completely fine, and you can actually scale up quite a bit. I have been enjoying this comp a lot. Seems pretty good in the current metagame. Let's go to the next one. Next on the list, we have a Beast Nature comp. Your start is with Rexxar, King Mukla, and King Crush, and then you're following up with Malfurion, Cookie, and Brucon. Now, the main idea of this is to kill casters. You're not going for protectors, and you're not going for fighters, but because of King Crush always going for the lowest health enemy, you can get behind him, making it so that you can kill the casters that Cornelius is trying to protect. Now, the main idea of this is to use Rexxar's Mama Bear Claws, which buffs all your beasts summoned. Make sure you play Rexxar first, and then King Crush with Flaming Claws to make him more of a threat to a caster. Hopefully proc the Death Blow on turn 1. Then you have King Mukla again, King Mukla's big brother. If you want to go a little bit fancier here because, no one's really that threatened, definitely try Refreshing Bananas. It's really underrated, and getting your characters more life earlier on is pretty great. Also, because they'll be focusing a lot of the time on King Crush, this basically means you get 2 Banana Frenzies, but sometimes you want to go for the Primal Power or the Taunt, depending on the situation. Malfurion, again, is using the Lightroot Staff as just a good nature character. If he comes off the bench, he's really good with King Mukla. And if you can stay alive, you have Cookie, which is all nature, and of course with appetizers, as well as Brucon with the Lightning Rod, basically coming out and using Chain Lightning to kill a bunch of protectors. This comp is really cool, really synergistic, and it really depends on how the game is going, how you decide what characters come off the bench. Hope you like it. Let's go to the next one. Next on the list, we have a Murloc composition. I forget who made it, but you know who you are. I'm not trying to steal anything. Relax. But the main idea of this comp is to use Old Murkai, Mutinous, and Varden as the opener, and then we have Cookie, Karen, and Diablo as your bench. Old Murkai is using the Bubble Wand, as you're probably going to be wanting to Fin Invasion every turn if possible to A, do a lot of damage, but use the Divine Shield +5 attack for ramping every single turn. Munis is using the Earthen Armor. Basically, you know, the necklace is definitely not that bad, but for the most of the time, it doesn't seem like it's that necessary unless you just want a very large taunt in the way. But because of the comp we're using, the taunt doesn't really matter that much. It's more about killing the caster. So I like the Earthen Armor more, but you can make the case for the necklace. And then we have Rarran using the Chilling Amulet basically every single time, unless you want to go for something spicy with the Potion of Ice. Now, the cool thing about this comp is that it's very like resilient and it does well against a lot of openers. Against Shadow, you're in a really good position. Against Nature, you're in an okay position. But if you're going against casters, you really like what's going on because you basically murder them in one turn, and Mutinous sometimes gets a really nice devour. Of course, on the bench, Cookie, Appetizers, Karen, Reincarnation, Diablo is using the Black Soulstone. Let's go to the next one. Next on the list, we have an Orc comp. Now, the main idea of this Orc comp is to use Thrall, Rikara, and Sourfang as your opener, and then on the bench, you have Cookie, Garrosh, and Gul'dan. Thrall is here with the Doomhammer, and basically turn one, you want to go for the Horde to buff up your other Orcs on the start. Rikara is using the Ancestral Armor to just have more life because she doesn't really need more attack because you'll be getting it from Tribal Warfare as well as Thrall's buff to all Orcs. And then Sourfang is using the Serenite Stompers with Mobilizing Strike after both of these have attacked for a lot of stats. This comp is really aggressive and it could really punish a lot of the comps in the current game like Shadow, but you also have the bench with Cookie using Appetizers, make everyone life more happy. I know Cookie's been here in almost in every comp because he's just that good of a character. Garrosh is here with the Tusk of Manaroth and basically giving him 18 health every enemy on the board. Now, the nice thing about Cookie in this comp is that Go Fish actually is another enemy, which means Garrosh gets another 18 life on top of whatever the benefit Go Fish actually does. Then we have Gul'dan with the Amulet of Souls equipment to make the Siphon Soul stronger, which is there to just heal up your Orcs. General game plan, super fun. It's not like the best comp I've showcased in this video by far, but like it is actually a really good comp that you should try out and a lot of people are probably sleeping on. I'm just going to showcase this build as well in this video because I think it's so cool. The main idea of this is to use Edwin, Eudora, and Grom at the start, and then you have Cookie, Cornelius, and Mr. Smite on the bench. So the main idea of this is to use Eudora to hopefully kill a caster early on, and then Eudora is going to use her Covering Fire to bounce herself back. And then you want to bring out Cornelius and Mr. Smite in the same turn, uses Blessing of Sacrifice on Mr. Smite, and then use Overboard. The reason why this works so well is because as long as you have something dealing damage to anything on board, Smite will take that as a damage to another character. He will attack into a character. Cornelius will take that damage and the cycle will continue going. I have a YouTube video, which I will link in the description, which you guys should go watch because it's super cool. But I highly recommend trying out this comp. It is really, really fun. Edward is using the Black Flag to make Eudora faster. Eudora is using the Prime Arraignments just to get a cannon at the start. Grom's using a Halting Sash. Cookie obviously using Appetizers. Cornelius is using the Shield of Dawn. And then Mr. Smite's using the Sharpened Scabbard just because we are playing other pirates. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful and you learned some awesome comps. If you have an awesome comp that you want me to try, please leave it in the comments down below. I would love to try it out. And as always, you look fantastic.